Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world, one book at a time.
This episode uses the film Network as a case study to examine how media systems transform truth, emotion, and dissent into managed spectacle when attention becomes the primary incentive. Now, we're not here to just review a classic movie. Instead, we're going to use Network as a kind of diagnostic tool. It's like a blueprint for a system that you'll see has become shockingly relevant, maybe even more so today than it was back in 1976.
So let's dive into our first big idea, the attention incentive. And the key thing to get here right off the bat is that this is not a story about bad guys. We're not talking about corrupt executives or anything like that. No, this is about the system itself and the incentives that drive it. Because once you change the goal, the metric for success, well, everything else starts to change right along with it. And here's where you can really see that shift in action. On one side, you've got the questions a news organization should be asking. Is it true? Is it important? But when the system's main goal becomes something else, the questions change. They become, does it perform? Will it get attention? Does it generate engagement? See what happened there? The old questions about truth, they just get pushed aside. It's that one change, that focus on attention, that completely rewires how everyone in the system behaves.
All right, that brings us to our next piece of the puzzle. Outrage as a product. I mean, think about it. If the system is all about getting attention, what happens to something as raw and human as emotion? Let's take a look at how this system deals with one of the most potent emotions out there, pure outrage. Okay, you've probably heard this line before, right? I'm as mad as hell and I'm not gonna take this anymore. It's iconic, and on the surface, it sounds like this incredible, powerful moment of genuine rebellion. But if we put our systems thinking hat on for a second, it looks totally different. From the system's point of view, that's not dissent, that's raw material.
So here's the wild part. The system doesn't see that outrage as a threat it needs to shut down. Not at all. In fact, why would it? That anger, that's a product. It's a renewable resource you can literally bottle up, broadcast, and monetize. It's fantastic for ratings. So the dissent isn't a bug in the system. It's a feature. It's exactly what the system needs to thrive.
Okay, all of this is building to the core inside of the system. This is it. This is the central logic, the operating system that makes the whole machine tick.
Here it is, plain and simple. When attention is the currency, outrage becomes infrastructure, and truth becomes optional. Let that sink in for a second. If attention is the only thing that has value, what's the best way to get it? Strong emotions. And what's stronger than outrage? So that outrage, it stops being an emotion and starts being the actual infrastructure, the roads and bridges, the whole system is built on. And in that kind of environment, truth doesn't have to be a lie. It just becomes irrelevant.
And this is how you get a really powerful self-perpetuating feedback loop. It's a simple four-step process, really. First, attention becomes the only metric that matters. Second, you realize raw emotion is the best way to drive engagement. Third, that means spectacle naturally starts to replace any real analysis. And fourth, this is the clincher. Any actual dissent just gets absorbed and televised as part of the spectacle. And that just generates more attention, which brings you right back to step one. The system literally feeds on itself.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's a movie from 1976. But here's the thing. That feedback loop we just talked about, it perfectly describes so much of what we see today. The technology is obviously way different now, but the underlying logic of the system, it hasn't just survived, it's become way, way more efficient. I mean, just look around. You've got news cycles completely driven by whatever the outrage of the day is. You've got social media algorithms designed to find the most divisive content and push it right to the top of your feed. You have political discourse that feels less about policy and more like performance art. And we're all encouraged to shout and get angry and participate, which feels like we're doing something, right? But the actual structures of power, they don't change. This isn't about moral failure. This is just the predictable, logical output of the system.
So, this all brings us to a really unsettling final question. What happens when a system no longer needs to persuade you of anything, when it only needs to hold your attention? The danger isn't that it's trying to trick you into believing a lie. The real danger, the scarier one, is that it doesn't care what you believe, as long as you don't look away.
So what we've done here is really just lay out the basic framework. This is the entry point, the 101. But believe me, to really get how these system dynamics work and what they mean for us, we've got to go a lot deeper.
For a deeper, long-form analysis of this topic, see the full deep dive linked in the description.
If you enjoy this kind of systems-level breakdown, please like, subscribe, and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.